Today, we get into the return of John Wick, Spider-Punk joining the Sony Spiderverse, the loss of a great voice, and one of my most anticipated movies of the year. We're talking Wakanda Forever. Welcome to the madness. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Monday Madness with Morgan and the Machine. How is the Morgan?
You know what I like doing when it's your turn to intro, Jeannine?
What's that?
Just doing little kind of reaction faces to what you're saying.
See, I try to do that too.
People on the audio can't see this, can they? Hello to all you wonderful people listening to Monday Madness today. But for those watching Monday Madness, you can see my little. I don't think they're very subtle reactions to some
Well,
of
see, because
the
I'm not
things.
watching you. I'm focused on what I'm saying. So I don't know if you notice that I do the same thing when you're introing.
I don't. I think we're too hyper focused.
Yeah.
We're too hyper focused, Jeannine. But yes, we are. We're a little bit sad, really, because there has been
Yeah.
a significant loss this week. That's that is very sad. That hit a great many people of the excitable movie and TV crowd.
Yes.
Pretty hard, which we are, obviously a part of. But generally, we're doing okay. There's some interesting things to talk about today. It's obviously going to be quite a Batman-centric episode today. My sign says, I am Batman. Behind me, there's a little Batman stood on top of the sign that says, I am Batman. It's all very Batman. This is because, of course, Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, the Batman, to
Yes.
a great many people, passed away this week, unfortunately. We'll talk in far more depth about all that once this episode becomes very Batman-centric.
Yes.
Once we get through a few of these other things that you mentioned in your little intro there, Jeannine. I know we're going to be talking about some of our favourite episodes of Batman the Animated Series in our Let's Talk today, finishing off with a Batman game. It's all very Batman. We like Batman generally, and we obviously love Kevin Conroy, but I think I do have to ask my question that I like to ask. Have I said hello to everybody? I've forgotten. Hello, everybody.
You didn't say hello to me. I said,
I didn't say hello to you.
Morgan? And then you just went off on a tangent.
I'm so sorry. Hello. I'm okay. How's the machine? Hello, the machine.
I'm doing great. I mean, in different surroundings.
I'm sorry, I was very, very, very selfish of me. Terrible.
Yeah. But yes, I'm in a different environment today. Yes. I'm in a fancy hotel in the mountains of Yosemite. So
very fancy, yes.
Yes.
Mountains, forests,
room service breakfast and all that.
Rocks.
Yeah.
Big
snow.
Rocks. That's what
snowing up here.
Climbing up
trees.
El Capitan like Captain Kirk in that one Star Trek movie. Which one is it where he climbs up? I've forgotten.
I can't think right now which one.
I've completely forgotten which one it is where
he's
James
climbing
Kirk climbs El Capitan, the big rock in Yosemite.
Yes.
Yes, I have though. Anyway,
the name of the omelet I had this morning.
It was the name of the omelet
that I had this morning for breakfast.
That's very touristy.
Yes,
it's very appropriate. It's very appropriate. It's very touristy, though. Should I ask the question, though, Jeannine?
Yes.
So, Jeannine. So,
quite a bit's up today, Morgan.
Yes.
First off, as I mentioned, we got a teaser trailer for the new John Wick movie.
Ooh.
John Wick Chapter 4. So we left him falling off a roof, presumably shot by Ian McShane, only to be picked up by Lawrence Fishburne's character, and kind of a little team up happening there to kind of bring it all down, burn it all down, take down the high table. So, yeah, we kind of just see him running around. We have some new characters in here. We have
Yeah.
Donnie Yen in a beautiful turtleneck, as
It
I'm sure
is,
you
yes.
appreciated.
Yes, it is.
Um,
I mean, we like the John Wick movies, don't we? We do.
yes,
We certainly like Donnie Yen's brilliant white turtleneck. Yeah, I'm a big fan of this.
yes.
But yeah, we like the John Wick movies. They were a very early series of Morgan Hasn't
Yes.
Seen.
I wanna say, like, when we kicked off the show with the MCU films, it was our very first kind of set of shows. The next set of shows we did was a Keanu Reeves series where we covered John Wick. So, your first time watch of those films. So,
Yeah, I think that was because the third one was coming
it's
out at
coming
that
out.
time. So that was
Yes.
quite a while ago, as you will be able to tell by
Yes.
how many episodes of Morgan Hasn't Seen there has now been.
Yes, and now the whole kind of universe is growing. We're getting a Continental series. I believe I've seen
Yes.
news about production starting on a De Armas led spin-off movie about kind of the ballerinas that we saw in John Wick 3.
It's
So
interesting. It's ripe for that kind of stuff. The
yeah,
John
it's a
Wick
great, interesting
universe.
assassin world that they've built in those first movies. So really kind of cool to see where it goes and kind of the world grown out with these other projects. But yeah, really excited for this movie. I think people really love these movies, love Keanu as his character. He's kind of established himself as kind of another Tom Cruise, and
Little bit. I
a
mean,
beautifully
a much
aged
nicer
man
version.
a beautifully aged man really caring about his craft and doing his own
Yes.
stunts, and really wanting to give the audience the best experience. So he's just like the grittier Tom Cruise in that aspect, I think, and we love him for that. And
Oh, we
these
do.
movies just have such a great aesthetic, and this film looks no different. It's kind of looking like he might find a way out of this life, making a deal with a Frenchy Skarsgård brother. So,
Yes.
uh,
Yes. I'm not overly sure, to be honest, on the old French Bill Skarsgård, because we
yeah.
know how accents sometimes go in the John Wick
Ooh.
movies
Are you
after.
referring to our friend Jerome Flynn in
Yes.
in chapter 3, whatever he was doing? Oh, that
I've
was
no
so
idea.
bad.
I've no idea what on earth Jerome Flynn was doing in
Yes.
John Wick 3, but it was not a good accent he was
Yeah.
putting on.
I'm
I
glad he got
do hope.
attacked by a dog just to stop him from talking, because that
Yeah,
is terrible.
yeah,
So
I do
bad.
hope Bill Skarsgård is not going to be overly Frenchifying. I mean, you can just imagine him going, "Ooh la la," now, can't you? Just being
Sacre bleu.
ridiculously, yeah, exactly, just saying random
Bonjour.
French exclamations that would
Fromage.
just be hilarious. Une
Comment allez-vous?
baguette.
Oui, oui.
This is probably incredibly offensive to any
Yeah.
French listeners we have,
Yes.
but
I'm Canadian, I think. I'm allowed.
I don't think that's true.
That's not how that works.
I
Okay,
don't
I'm
think that's
sorry.
true at all.
I'm sorry.
I know a bit of French and a little bit of French anyway, but no, I have faith in Bill Skarsgård to not unnecessarily overdo an accent like
Yeah,
Jerome Flynn did. I mean,
I
we like
think
Jerome Flynn anyway, but I don't know what he was
he
doing
was
in that
he
third
was
movie.
awful. Yes, he was doing some craziness in that third film. But Bill Skarsgård, I don't think he's ever delivered a bad performance in anything I've seen him in. So
No, not that I've seen either, I don't think. But he has been known to go slightly
a little,
aggressively over the top, hasn't
yeah,
he?
that is
With his
true.
old monstrous clown.
Yes. So I'm excited. The trailer looks really fun.
It's
And
definitely an kind of us against everybody kind of vibe.
yes, yes. I'm really kind of curious to see these two sides kind of, who's going to team up with John Wick to kind of help him
Yeah.
against the high table and all of that kind of stuff. So
And this is
it
the
looks
good
like a lot
thing
of
we
fun.
want, though, isn't it? This we
Hmm.
want the idea of, a one-man army that John Wick kind of is.
Yeah,
But
he's been established as that from the start.
he's obviously only a one-man army out of circumstance. He doesn't go around seeking this kind of stuff.
No, it just
It
kind of
all
finds
comes to
him.
him, and it's all about
It's kind of like
defending himself, basically,
that
isn't it?
movie we covered, wasn't it The Gunfighter with,
Yes,
Gregory
the
Peck?
gunfight with Gregory. It
Yeah.
is. It's the
It
exact
y
same.
yes, it's basically this man has built this reputation, and so people just kind of see it right to just mess with him and prove
And he
something
doesn't want
about
that.
themselves, and he's definitely just not about it, you know?
I do like the look of this one because I think the story is going to be more focused and kind of more not necessarily small scale. I think it's going to be a very big scale story by the look of this trailer, which is a great trailer, by the way. A really kind of interesting. I suppose it is. It is a full trailer at this point. I think the movie's coming in March, isn't it? Next
Mhm.
March or something
March is
like
gonna
that.
be jam-packed with movies because I think we're getting
Yeah.
Scream, we're getting Ant-Man and the
Oh
Wasp:
yeah.
Quantumania,
Ooh,
so yeah.
heavy,
Yeah.
heavy, but exciting. Very, very
Yes.
exciting.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, while chapter 3, Parabolum, as we used to
Parabola.
call it,
Yeah.
in a stupid accent.
Parabola. Yeah.
Silly word. It was a little bit, you went to Jerome Flynn's place in Morocco, didn't you? You were a bit world travel-y
Yeah.
in that movie. You were strolling through the desert for a bit, trying to find yourself, or whatever the whole purpose of that was. I
Will we
don't
see
even remember.
will we see some desert stuff in this one as well? So
I don't know. It felt to me I don't know. Maybe it just felt to me like
more city
it was going to
bound.
be more focused, a little bit of more of a return to the idea of the first movie, where it's quite a simple "you've stolen my dog and killed my dog, I now want revenge on you" kind of deal. It's more of a everybody's coming after him, and he just plows through people non-stop
Yeah.
in a hand-to-hand combat way, not a lewd plowing through people way that you might interpret that phrase to mean.
Yeah.
That is
Uh-huh.
a very different movie. I can tell you the name of that movie is not John Wick.
Oh my
It is
gosh.
something that
What?
perhaps rhymes with it. Ha 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 ha
Oh
ha.
my gosh.
Yes.
Morgan. Morgan
Success.
Rob Morgan F.
Don't full
Robinson.
name me. There's no need for that. I'm giving somebody there a
Uh-huh.
prime opportunity to
Yes.
make that
So
particular version
as
of
I
John
pull
Wick.
your mind out of the gutter, let's
Yes.
get into
It's not in there. It's not in
it's
there. I'm not
oh, it's
interested
not.
in it.
Okay. All right then. Well,
I'm interested in John Wick Chapter 4. It looks exciting.
it
I
does.
like it.
It does. I'm really excited for it. But we also got some casting news for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the sequel coming out. We have
Yes, what's it called? It's not called Into the Spider-Verse, is it? It's called something
no.
else.
Mm,
It's animated Spider-Verse movie. It's the same thing. It's is it like After the Spider-Verse? Why don't I know what it's called?
I know. We're all about the research here.
We love it. It's exciting.
Yes.
We we love it. Monday Madness. It's chill. It's a fun
Yes.
time.
Yes. But Daniel Kaluuya will be joining the cast as Spider-Punk.
Yes. Fresh off of not being in the MCU anymore,
Yeah.
because I can't even remember why he
Across the Spider-Verse.
across the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
Was there ever any reason given as to why Daniel Kaluuya wasn't going to be in Wakanda Forever? I know we might
Well,
talk
no,
about
I
this
mean, he
later, but
betrayed everybody, so he was I think they allude to him being imprisoned. So,
oh, he was in prison, was he? Oh, I don't remember that.
no. Did you watch Black Panther?
Not recently, no.
Yes. Well, do you not remember the whole plot point of him kind of betraying everybody and
Yes,
betraying yes, so obviously that's going to come with consequences. In
I
Wakanda
know.
in Wakanda Forever, there's the scene of Okoye being talked to, and one of the council says, she even drew her spear against her own husband.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I forgot
And
about that.
Ramonda mentions, well, is she not able to go visit him in Holding or whatever, wherever he is?
Yes, yes, you're right. Yes,
So
well
they
remembered.
allude to the fact that he is imprisoned in Wakanda for his crimes, but Okoye is able to see him and visit him. So he's in some sort of holding facility in Wakanda, I'm
I still
assuming.
think it would have been nice for us to go and see him, but whether he wants to be any part of any future MCU or not, he's now a part of the animated Spider-Verse, which obviously that first movie is excellent, isn't it? So
Yes. I don't know much about the Spider-Punk character. I'm
absolutely nothing.
I'm hoping to believe, Punk being more of a British kind of era of music. I would think, he's a British actor. He might get to use his natural accent in
Quite
being
possibly,
Spider
actually.
Punk.
That's
So, I
yeah.
mean, I don't know much about the character, but if he is in fact kind of a British, you know,
I
kind of
suppose. I
punk
suppose. I suppose
character,
that's true.
they
Actually,
did cast a British actor. So,
punks are British, really, aren't they? Punks aren't really American. There's a
yes, and
there's
if
a
you
there's a very inherently British rebellious kind of attitude to being a punk, I suppose. I've
yeah, I
never
mean his
actually thought too much about that. That's a good
yeah, no,
point.
I kinda thought about that and, like, in the images of him, he has kind of this spiked mohawk and, so, I mean, I didn't really look too much into what the character is about, but, like, I don't know much about the Oscar Isaac Spider-Man character that we're gonna be seeing as well, so,
No, isn't
um,
that the 2099 one? Didn't we get that in
it was
the
in
Into
the
the
end
Spider-Verse?
credits. Yeah, there was the end credits was him. So,
Are we
yeah,
getting that noir version of Spider-Man
I
back?
think I
Nicolas
assume
Cage, wasn't it? Are we
I mean,
getting
he
him?
was great, Penny
Are we getting the
Parker, and
pig one back?
I feel like we're probably going to see everybody. So,
Yes.
hopefully, but yeah. So another casting news and
The
Daniel
anime
Kaluuya
one.
now Penny Parker. Wait, what's her name? Yeah, so hopefully we'll see them all back and we're also getting Issa Rae in there.
Oh,
Um,
yes,
yeah.
yes, that's
So
right.
so
I
really
like
exciting.
this. No, I like this. I'm excited for this movie as well. I like that. I like that Daniel Kaluuya is delving into this kind of world, but the
Yeah.
interesting side of it, like this is the actual side of stuff that Sony's doing well with the Spider-Man situation, or
Yes.
what, whatever you consider of the Venom movies and all this business.
I mean, that's probably the second best. I mean,
They're not. They're not exactly phenomenally revered things, are they?
no. So I mean, this has been probably
But
the
the
most
animated stuff is.
successful in terms of recent stuff from them. Um and like the even kind of with the animation style, it's very innovative in terms of what they were able to do with that. Like nothing
Yeah.
else has been done like that. They made some new animation techniques with that style. So Um, yeah, Sony's kinda killing it with that, so just kinda stick with that, Sony, doing okay,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Keep doing
you
the
don't need to do
animated
any
stuff.
more Morbius, I don't know what you Kraven the Hunter,
Absolutely not.
just let Kraven the Hunter just not be a thing, 'cause I am eh,
You know full well that that's going to end up being the exact same
as
situation that
Morbius.
Morbius was.
Yes, so we'll see, but, yes, the
Wait.
animated, you're killing it, so I'm excited for that news, and yeah, so we both did finally get to see Wakanda Forever,
Well, we
so
did, yes. I mean, we want to get into this. I just did want to mention briefly before we do that I'm just now picturing actual Daniel Kaluuya with a mohawk, and it looks unusual.
well, the mohawk is on the spider suit, so it's like, yeah,
Oh, it's on the
Spider-Man.
spider.
Yes,
Oh.
yes, and he has, like, a spiky, like, mohawk.
I just I'd just really like to know what constitutes a punk Spider-Man.
I don't know. We'll
You know,
have to learn that.
why has Spider-Man become a punk? why is Spider-Man going around singing the Sex Pistols and saying "down with the monarchy"?
I don't
What's
know. I mean, we don't know if that is the iteration of this spider punk because we did not do our research. But
or is it a punk in the Dirty Harry sense when he's just calling any old criminal punk because this is just what he says?
well, no, he definitely looks like a punk. He's got like the spiky wristband and the mohawk
No,
and all of that. So
okay.
yes, educate us in the comment section. Let us know if you know anything about the spider
Lip
punk character.
piercings.
Um, I mean, Spider-Man doesn't really have lips with the mask on, so but
Yes. Oh
yes.
no, he doesn't actually, does he? He
No, he does
doesn't.
not.
Imagine that'd be terrifying.
That would be kind
Imagine
of
if
weird.
Spider-Man mask had a big mouth on it, like a
It's
big toothy
creepy.
grin.
Yeah, no, that'd be kind of creepy.
That'd be silly. That would
Um,
be silly. I don't know what I don't know. I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my
yes,
mind.
just a
I'm
little
just
bit, just a
picturing
little bit, just a
Daniel
little
Kaluuya's
bit.
strange hairstyles.
Mhm.
But yes, Jeannine, please introduce this review that we are going to get into
Yes.
properly.
So our review here of a spoiler review.
Yes.
Spoilers. All
Spoiler,
the
spoiler,
spoilers
spoilery, 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 spoilery.
for Wakanda Forever. I was really excited for this movie. I got my custom shirt made, my First Lady of the Jabari tribe shirt that I made. And yeah, I went to a double feature. My theater was doing a screening of Black Panther followed by Wakanda Forever. So it was great to kind of, I was going to watch it at home, but then I saw this double feature kind of screening and I thought this would be, a good way to
Yeah.
watch it and refresh and get back into it and really be able to take kind of everything from that movie and be able to kind of, balance the two and see Chadwick again. And so it kind of, I feel like, gave watching the next one more weight, kind of just immediately having seen how great he was on screen.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, very beautiful themes of dealing with loss and grief, and you can tell that the cast was channeling a lot of their real life, heartache for his loss and putting it into this movie. I really was surprised by um Shuri having, this difficult time kind of dealing with it. Also, kind of hearing how she was somebody who wasn't a huge believer in the ancestral plane and kind of all the
Yeah.
spiritual parts of her family's kind of culture and all of that stuff.
Very scientifically based is
Yes.
Shuri.
So then you kind of have to go back and think just how, logical her mind is. So of course she's really not going to be as ingrained in the cultural, natural aspects of her family's kind of belief system because she's more of a logical scientific thinker. So I think that was kind of a smart play to kind of have her take that turn and really have a hard time dealing with it because even in the opening, um, you know, instead of taking that time to go by his side, like, her AI is even telling her you might want to just go
Yeah.
be with him because, he's fading. And she's like, no, I have to figure this out. I have to figure out this other iteration of the heart shaped herb. I need to find this. I need to figure this out. And she's too busy with the science and trying to figure out a way to save him instead of just spending those last few minutes with him. Um,
She goes through a monstrous journey in
yes,
this
yes.
movie, does Shuri. I find it, I mean, really interesting, really moving that obviously now this is the movie that has closed out what is phase 4 of the MCU. This
Yeah,
is and phase 4 of the MCU has predominantly been about grief. It's been about dealing with loss, dealing with the loss of Thanos' snap and all this business, dealing with the deaths that came from Endgame, but dealing with trying to find yourself in a new
yeah.
world, in an unfamiliar world,
I mean, I think a lot of
and
the characters in this phase, yeah, have been dealing with that. You
and
know,
but to end that phase with this movie that not only does that better than anything else in this entire phase has done that,
yeah,
but it actually having not just obviously in-universe significance, but real life significance because actual Chadwick Boseman passed away.
Yes, and I like that, you know, the people behind the film gave Ryan Coogler and this cast the opportunity to really focus on that and
Yeah.
not have it be so deeply tied to kind of the future of the MCU. Of course, you're gonna have your things in there that play into what comes next,
Yes,
but
but
this
it
movie
is
was really allowed to breathe and be really focused on a Wakanda story, on these characters, on, the bigger world picture of what's
yeah,
affecting Wakanda and, Talakan and these
it's
people in this area of the world, as
it's
opposed to
very
kind of being
beneficially self-contained.
yes, yes, and I appreciated that, they were allowed to kind of do that and not have to throw in all of these nods to kind of later things, which I think, they have the Everett Ross stuff, which I think are the main things that are gonna play into later
Yes,
things,
but I mean,
which is
he is
fine,
a
and those
carryover from the first movie anyway.
yeah, so to kind of combine him and connect him to a character who's been peppered throughout this whole phase, and is somebody who is
Yeah,
playing heavily into what's to come in the next phases, I think was a smart choice. I mean, people saw those scenes as kind of dragging or pulling you out of it a little bit, or feeling like they were the heavy-handed connection scenes. But considering you're doing it with a carryover character,
yeah,
it made sense that of course he's going to be connected to Wakanda. Of course he's going to be contacted. Of course he's going to have some concerns with what's happening with these people because they saved his life and he worked really closely with them. Especially having just seen Black Panther right before this, you see the scene where they gave him a whole integral role in um being a pilot and having to
yeah,
stop those ships from leaving with vibranium weapons. So he was a big part. They gave him a big part in that whole kind of final battle in Black Panther, and Shuri did save his life, and he saved Okoye's life, and that's why he was shot, and so he was pretty integral. They worked him into the first film pretty well. That I feel like it warranted him being in this film and having something to do, and I think
definitely.
that was the best place to get in your kind of future connections in
It was.
and not interrupting our Wakanda story with those moments.
It was,
So
and I wouldn't say I thought they took me out of the story. I mean, this is Valentina De Fontaine or whatever her full name is
yeah.
that we're dealing with here, who's kind of what it looks to be some sort of ex-wife of Everett Ross. What's
Yes.
this all about?
Yes, apparently they were married at some point, and so the fact and you think, "Okay, maybe there's some kind of sympathy there because she's kind of like, I defer to him, I trust his opinion, only for her to kind of like, I bugged you, I was following you the whole time,
Oh
and
yeah, she has
you
no.
you perform treason, so and then we find him arrested and he's just like, well,
She is.
you know.
She's low key very ruthless. We've barely seen any of her.
Yeah.
But when she is, we immediately understand the power she holds, I think. And I think that comes across in this movie, in the few scenes she obviously has in this movie as well. I think it just works. It works more. I think this is her most significant kind of role in to what we've seen of her yet.
Yeah.
Just in terms of
Where
we
she
understand
stands
her more now.
and kind of her position in the higher kind of government
Yeah.
of the government that we follow in these films
And
and
it's
her
it's
role.
very
Yeah.
significant. It's
Mhm.
very significant.
Yeah.
But that is the kind of insight as to what may come. It fits in with the story well, but look, where this story is at its best, where this movie's at its best, is when you are fully in Wakanda, fully with predominantly Shuri, dealing with trying to find who she is now, dealing with the
Yes.
loss of her brother, dealing with what comes after, which is an even is it almost an even bigger loss for Shuri
Yes. Yeah.
herself.
Mhm.
Again, this is a spoiler review.
Yes.
We must make that clear. Um, but the death of Ramonda is really hard to watch in this movie. It's devastating because you're already
Yes.
emotional anyway. I mean, I was emotional from the very start of this damn movie. The fact that we got the Marvel
Oh
Studios
my gosh, and it was
logo,
just
and it was just all
all
Chadwick.
Chadwick, and then there was, like, a pure moment of silence for him, and nobody like, you expected, people when I think when it was Stan Lee as well, and they did that first
Yeah,
after his passing, and they did it, like, people just knew, and they were just silent and gave that
yeah, they
moment of
were.
silence. No one was, like, cheering or clapping, everyone just, like, gave that moment of silence, and it was so beautiful just a way to kinda enter that movie. And, yeah, I
And
was really curious as to how they were going to, you know, talk about his death and how he died, and so, this kind of unknown illness, um,
yeah, I mean,
it
look, it's
I think
it's it can't have been an easy thing to have to do. You can
figure
just
out, yeah.
imagine how much everybody on the set of this movie was hurting anyway, wanted to honor him, but was just missing their friend, was missing their colleague.
Yes, and I mean, you have to understand this, they had a huge task in front of them because Ryan Coogler had a whole sequel written with Chadwick,
Yeah.
completed, ready to film, and he didn't tell anybody what he was going through, so when he passed, nobody knew. And so he had to take this whole task of how am I going to reformat this story? How am I going to make this work without him? The core of this story. So for them to have this uphill task to figure this out, um, they did a brilliant job on top of
Yeah.
delays and COVID and injuries and all kinds of things. The task they had ahead of them to tell this story and figure out what to do, I think they came up with a brilliant story and yeah, so to kind of getting back to what you were talking about, her now kind of having to deal with Ramonda's death and the responsibility that's now on her shoulders. Like she hasn't even taken the time to fully grieve her brother,
Yeah.
and now this happens, and now Namor's happening, and she is already kind of really not, embracing her faith and that aspect of kind of the ancestral plane. Like, even when she kind of figures out the herb and she takes it, she does the, Nakia's like, well, do you want to do the ritual properly, bury you and all of
Yeah.
that? And she's like, no, like, let's just get this over with. Very much critical mind, let's just get this done. And the shock of when she goes in there, she's expecting to see her mother, she's expecting to see her brother, and who does she see when
I
she
mean,
goes to the ancestral
this is
plane?
quite late on in the movie, really, isn't it? This is
Yeah,
when we're kind of preparing Shuri to take over the mantle.
yeah,
Take over the mantle of the Black Panther when she realizes kind of what she has to do because she's had these interactions with Namor or Namor or however you want
Namor,
to
yes.
pronounce
Which
his
kind of
name.
they kind of characterize it as no love, so, like, no amor, you
Namor,
know?
Namor.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
say it like that because that sounds better than Namor, which I've heard
Namor.
too many people call it in rather aggressive American accents. No offense to anybody there, but Namor does
Yes.
not sound as good as
And
Namor.
just Tenochtitlan, like, Namor, which
Yes,
this movie did say introducing Tenochtitlan, so
it
I'm
did.
like, hasn't seen The Forever Purge. So it's like,
No, clearly, clearly they haven't. I think you froze out a little bit there, but I think we got what you were saying. They clearly haven't seen the Forever
The
Purge
Forever Purge.
because
So good at that.
he was in that, and he was actually quite good in that. Go and listen to the episode of Morgan hasn't seen.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it's maybe introducing him to a far greater array of
The
people.
audience,
And
yes.
certainly
So,
I had never heard of him before, the cast for this movie had came out before he was
yes, and
cast
then when
as
we did
Namor.
Forever Purge, we're like, "Oh, Tenoch Huerta." Yes. So
Yes,
so yes,
yes.
Namor.
But no, I I enjoy that. I mean, I loved his backstory. This is a part of history I need to become more interested in, the Mesoamerican kind of Mayans and
Yeah.
Central American history and this kind of stuff. I'd be fascinated to go there and learn properly about this kind of stuff because it's not massively kind of taught. Certainly here
Oh, no,
it
yeah, we
might
learned
be
we
there.
learned about that a little bit in school, I remember. But yes, I mean, just in terms of just kind of introducing not just a new character, but a new kind of whole culture and putting all of that behind the origins of this character, I think was a
Yeah.
really interesting choice and really kind of fleshed him out even more. And the fact that they had the whole kind of scenes of Shuri going down there and getting to see
Yeah.
that world and those people.
Beautiful scenes.
And then we kind of get this side by side later of her kind of comparing, seeing Wakanda
Yeah.
in the same way as Talokan, like just people living their lives and merchants, selling their wares and children playing and uh, you know,
It's that very wise mentality of cultural coming together rather than opposing, rather than
yes.
fighting.
And I've seen some really kind of interesting, comparisons to, just in essence, ways that, society does try to kind of put minority groups against each other to kind of break them
Yeah.
apart so that kind of your higher powers, your wider powers can kind
Yeah.
of divide and conquer instead of kind of uniting to, outsider groups and it kind
100%
of
this movie
putting
is
your
saying stuff
resources
about that.
together, you're gonna just, strengthen your odds by pinning them against each other. So, I think it definitely plays to kind of those themes as well.
It does, and brilliantly, intelligently so.
Yeah.
You know, this it takes some of the stuff in Phase 4 has come under some some flack for being not serious enough, for being a little bit too goofy. You think of a Thor Love and Thunder, something like that. It couldn't be further from, could it?
Or
It
maybe they feel like it's too self-serious, things like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they're not as
possibly, yes,
fun, they're not
possibly.
as kind of giving, or, too thought-provoking like a WandaVision, too high concept maybe in ways with,
Moon
things.
Knight kind of
Yes.
situation, yes.
And just kind of a varying, Loki, all kinds of just different ideas and nothing very cohesive. Like you do have your through lines, but everything kind of doing its own kind of individual thing.
Yeah.
Um, and so maybe people see that as sloppy. Um,
This was just really it was just very, very focused. It was serious without being miserable or
yeah.
bleak. It was moving without being bleak, which
Yes.
is very, very tough to do. As to be an emotional story about not just a character's death, but a real human being's death who meant a great deal to a great
We're,
many people.
yeah.
For this to not just be a sob fest
And a
was
constant mourning,
was
without hope.
incredible. I mean, that look, there's moving scenes in this movie. There's moments. There's powerful moments, like you said, of just silence in the cinema when it's just respectful silence, and
Yeah. Hmm.
your eyes well up, tears come to the eyes. It's really, really impactful. You've just got to commend everybody here for making such a movie so well, given every single issue that it faced.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
This
I
was a
mean,
huge undertaking. I mean, just the scenes with Ramonda, at the beginning in the UN, and she's kind of
yeah,
just having to defend her country in that way, and then her scene with Okoye, she's already lost so much. So even though Okoye is this trusted general, she really makes the hard decision of dismissing her as captain
Yeah.
as leader of the Doras because she convinced her to send her daughter out on this mission and lost her daughter. She's already
Yeah.
lost so much, and yes, Okoye, you've proven yourself time and time again, but you lost my child in a time where I feel like I've lost everything, so you are dismissed. And that was such a hard scene. And then so we do get a little bit of a kind of interesting take with Okoye as well, and in kind of her story. Um, and Okoye kind of talking about the things she's given.
Yeah.
And then so Ramonda can counter, well, look at everything I've given. Look at everything I've lost. So don't you tell me, you were dismissed. And so for her to kind of have to make that difficult decision because her heart's broken in so many ways was just a very powerful scene. So I love that they gave her these kind of really strong queen like ruling
Yes.
moments
Yeah.
before she died in the film. And even she goes out with a hero's death in saving Riri, and Riri
Yes.
really kind of
We've
taking
not even
respect.
brought up yet.
Yes, so Riri really kind of taking that to heart, like, she protected me like I was her own, and so
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay here and fight with you. She had all these hesitations to even go with them and even kind of work with them, and she got captured, and so she's like a stressed out teenager because,
Well,
like,
yeah, because
yeah.
story-wise, what's going on here is Riri Williams, genius scientific prodigy from MIT, has made a vibranium detector
Yes, for like a school
for a
project
school project, which is the most ridiculously
because she's a
over-the-top
genius.
thing
Because in the
possible.
comics, I believe she's only 15, but she's going to MIT because she's just a genius.
Ah, okay. They do say she's 19, I think, in this movie, don't
Yes,
they?
so they do kind of age her up, I believe.
Um,
But
but yes, she makes a vibranium detector. This vibranium detector detects vibranium as it's supposed to, but it detects Talocan vibranium
yes, yeah,
from Nemo's people, who are fish people. They constantly get referred to as fish people. M'Baku constantly refers to Namor as the fish man in this
yeah.
movie, while he's there munching on carrots and things, because this is what Winston Duke apparently likes
Yes,
to do.
yes,
He's great as
he's
well, isn't he?
great.
M'Baku's back to steal some scenes and
As a Trinidadian actor, we appreciate some Winston Duke around here. So
yes, fair enough. Yes.
yes.
Um, but that's kind of basically the story, and it's Talcon kind of being worried that they're going to get
Found out.
found out, that they're
So
going
they
to
need
get
to get rid of the
yeah,
scientist, Riri Williams, who has made this device, who can discover them, and they don't really care about her motives or why she did what she did,
yeah.
or who got her device, and they don't care about the details and the minutia. They just know she's the one who created this thing, who could expose us. So we need to get rid of her.
And it's all this
Um,
idea of, this is why Shuri gets invited down to Talocan, down underwater, goes through this nice little journey, it seems, because Namor basically wants an alliance with Wakanda,
but he also it does not want
but
to
he
give
also
up
wants to burn the rest of the world.
and he also wants to get rid of Riri, and so
He does. He
they don't
does. And
really
we don't
want to
like
do
that
that.
because we like Riri.
Yes,
And the
yes.
Wakandans like Riri.
Yeah, so she was great, and I'm, because like while I just even hearing about this character in comics, like, and I was really intrigued. I read her first issues, and did some kind of fun Riri art because I just like, this is a cool,
Yes.
like, black teenage girl with afro hair, and like she's kind of this Iron Man prodigy. Like, how cool is that? So to kind of have her incorporated here and kind of be the centerpiece of this story, I think was great. And I think she did a really great job. And yeah, having Ramon to save her, so then that adds to her reasoning in wanting to fight with them
And look,
as well. So
it gets you far more excited for the Ironheart
Ironheart show,
TV
yeah.
show, because
Yes.
that's going to be entirely Riri Williams, than I ever was before, because I
And I
hadn't
think a
got a
lot of
clue
people are
about
saying
her.
that. Yeah. Um I don't think a lot of people kind of had that feeling they didn't really know much about the character. They didn't weren't really psyched about this show. And so in kind of getting to see her here, they're really kind of more intrigued about what she's going to do and her kind of whole
Absolutely.
story.
Definitely.
So I was excited to see her. I thought she was great in the movie. I liked her kind of rapport with Shuri and their kind of teaming
Yeah.
up. I thought that was really great.
And I think even look, Letitia Wright, who's a great actor, to come into this movie as the absolute lead, where she's been a supporting player, like she wasn't even second lead, she wasn't even third lead in Black Panther, really, when you think about it, because it's kind of it's Chadwick, it's Michael B. Jordan, and I don't know, maybe okay, maybe she's third lead, but this is predominantly Shuri's movie, and I just think Letitia Wright's done a great job there of stepping up.
Yes, and the kind of the twist with her we didn't really get into yet of her kind of getting this vengeance, and we see a little taste of that when Ramonda's trying to do the ceremony with her. You know, you need to
Yeah,
let go of, you need to grieve your brother, you need to see that hopeful future and move forward, burn your funeral garments, and we
yeah,
can move forward in celebrating him and living our life, and you know, and knowing that there's, you know, more beyond death is not the end. That's kind of their inherent belief. And she
yeah.
is just like, no, you know, if I burn this, I'll burn the whole world down. So you already get kind of this taste of her not really being open to that, and really just holding on to this anger. And
And
so
this is
when
what Namor tries to
yeah, so when
kind
he
of
kind of feeds in onto it a little
yeah,
bit, and then, you know, she's still trying to be this noble person. She wants to save Riri. She wants to help her people. She doesn't want to, you know, even when they get kidnapped and Nakia goes in to save them, Ramonda goes to find Nakia and recruits her to go kind of use her spy skills to find Shuri. Um,
yes, because she's in Haiti.
Yes. So Nakia goes down to find them, and she kind of shoots some of the Telecon people, and even one gets injured, and Shuri wants to like stay and help them because she's having since talked to Namor, seen the city, met some of the children, and seen kind of their whole operation, and she's very kind of happy and intrigued. Namor even gives her a gift,
Yeah,
and um
it's not like his
so
mother's bracelet or something like really
yes,
significant.
yes, that it like, it has pieces of their own kind of herb that gave them kind of the undersea
Yes,
abilities,
yeah,
that saved their lives, kind of sewn into it.
it's kind of
Uh,
what gives Namor his mutant abilities, almost, isn't it? Because
yes,
that's what he is. He's a
yeah,
confirmed mutant as
mutant,
well.
yes. So, yeah, she still has that kind of leader instinct of wanting to work at peace, um, but once Namor kind of sees what has happened, that, you know, one of his people has been killed,
Yeah,
you know, that Ramonda seemingly tricked him because she calls him
yeah.
away to talk to him so that Nakia can kind of get in there and save Shuri. This is where kind of the big revenge kind of thing comes from. Namor comes and he attacks Wakanda.
He
Um,
gets on his little winged feet
yeah,
and
he
he
looked
comes
so
flying up.
looked so ridiculous, but he looked so badass, I have to
I
say.
can't. I have no complaints about the winged feet. This
Yes,
is an accurate thing. I'm led to believe, and
yes.
they did not
Mhm.
look really that goofy.
No, the fights were amazing, him kind of in the air fighting, him in the water, like, all of it just looked really great. So he does attack Wakanda, and,
Top tier
uh
villain. Top tier
yes,
villain.
and they use the kind of these water bombs to destroy the throne room and flood it, and, Ramonda and, Riri are drowned, but Ramonda fights to get Riri to the surface, and Riri is able to be resuscitated, Ramonda is not,
Yeah.
and so now, having lost her brother, not properly grieving him, having seen what Namor has done to her mother, now she's just not about even kind of any kind of peaceful reconciliation. She's just
No.
all about vengeance, and she's really digging into that. So to kind of see her take that vengeful turn, and we were about to kind of get into it when she does go to the ancestral plane. She's
Yes.
expecting to see her mother or her brother, but because of kind of the state of mind she's in, she ends up
We get
seeing
someone we don't expect in the movie.
yes. Hey, little cousin. We see Killmonger, which was crazy. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
And her being shocked and trying to be kind of outraged, but he's like, no, like you're thinking like I'm thinking, girl. Like, don't try to deny it. Like, you want to handle this the way I would handle this. So
This
don't
is
even play.
literally your ancestral plane. Why are you surprised?
It's that I'm
Your
here and
mind
you're
came
seeing
up with
me.
this.
Yes,
It's
and
me.
things are
Hi.
on fire, and yeah, so he's definitely kind of playing into that um need that she's having for vengeance. And then when she kind of comes at back and out of it, she's not really she's seeing it still in a negative aspect that her
Yes.
family abandoned her. Why didn't she see them? Why didn't they come to her? They abandoned her. So now she's kind of just sunken into this vengeful kind of state. And so to see her kind of take it there, and even kind of seeing her show up and take the mantle, and it's supposed to kind of be this triumphant moment, but you can't really get there because we know she's in this vengeful mindset.
Yeah.
So that
We
finale.
only really get there the very, very end.
Yes. So I think it was a really kind of interesting subverting of expectations. This moment that was supposed to be kind of this hero moment was very much this kind of tense thing, because you see she's kind of doing it for the wrong reasons, and we see that she still has an arc to get over. She
Yeah.
still has something to learn, and that's so kind of just really throwing us off in that moment, and kind of tainting that hero moment, I thought was a really interesting thing that we never see. So I really
Yeah.
kind of loved that. And
I
and
mean
just
that
seeing
that
kind of.
last fight, I will say as well, that kind of final fight that you get um between Shuri as Black Panther and Namor is
Mhm.
really nasty.
Yes,
It,
and brutal.
it's noticeably brutal for the MCU. It's
Yes.
like it's not, horror movie level nastiness, but it's noticeably nasty for this universe. And I
Yes.
appreciated that because there's a
Mhm.
hell of a lot of anger in it. A
Yeah,
hell of a lot from both
from both
sides.
sides, yeah. And then
Um,
they kind of both have to learn something in that moment, and I like the moment
yeah,
of taking that beat and, like I said, showing the imagery of Telecon and just how similar it is to Wakanda, and that they should be working together, and they're really played into um that divide that really shouldn't be happening. They're very
yeah,
similar in a lot of ways, and they should be coming together, and even kind of the united idea that they had when they first met, and he was showing her Telecon, and that kind of common ground they seem to have. Um, so yeah, I like that kind of we don't get her lesson until the very end, and that her kind of heroic moment is a bit tainted, and so we're having to kind of wait and
yeah,
see where it goes. And just in general, the fights were really great. I liked kind of Okoye having that recurring fight with kind of that main warrior from Telecon, and
yes,
even that first fight with on the bridge, where kind of the music just kind of cuts out, and it's just you
yeah,
just hear the spear
yeah.
hits and you
I
hear all the
really like
punches.
that.
Yeah, it was very slick. I loved that. So I loved Okoye kind of getting those moments. I wish we would have gotten more of Michaela Cole, but
Do you know what? So do I. They seem to make a big deal
about her kind of joining
of
this
her
cast, and
in the marketing,
yeah.
and I did think that Michaela Cole would be in the movie a little bit more than she
Mhm.
was. Not to say she's not doing really well when she is there. Maybe there's some things that are cut of Michaela Cole.
Maybe
I don't know.
there just wasn't time to fit those things in, but
I'm
people
well,
can.
I'm sure she will be there going forward.
Yes, but people can. I'm sorry to kill your IO
Yes,
Bucky
be none of that.
shipping, because let's be honest, she's taken.
That was a
So
terrible pun. Terrible pun. Terrible,
yes,
Janine. Terrible pun.
So yes, the fights I think were really well handled. I love seeing M'Baku more kind of being this, I like
Yes.
that he came to her and he's like, your brother told me to be an advisor to you and counsel you.
He's a wise
Yes.
soul, is
And
M'Baku.
so
Nobody gives him
he
the credit.
Yes, and so in the end, he kind of comes in as like, who is going to challenge me for the mantle of the Black Panther or of the king? So he essentially is going to be the ruler of
Yeah.
Wakanda while it takes the role as Black Panther. So that'll be kind of the first time that somebody of their family has not held both kind of positions and in a very long time. So that'll be kind of an interesting thing going forward for
It will,
sure.
but again, though, is that not just more different peoples coming together? Because
Yes.
even the tribes of Wakanda are different to each other, aren't they? You have the guy with the big lip plate,
Yes, the
the
river tribe, the merchant tribe, the mining border. Yeah,
and the Jabari, who are obviously just M'Baku kind of speaking really his vocal tones. I don't Do I remember this from Black Panther? Has it really been that long since I've seen Black Panther? He's very precise with how he's speaking
he is.
in
He
this
is.
movie. Everything is so well
Well,
spoken and enunciated. It's so
he's great.
intense.
He's great.
He is great. Um, I really
But
know. I do. I like M'Baku a lot.
yes, and so just to get into Nakia before we move on to kind of
Yes, yes,
closing out
yes,
with
yes,
the
yes.
mid-credit scene.
Whew!
Yeah. Yeah, so we find that Nakia is in Haiti. She's running a school and
How very
um
Lupita Nyong'o of her.
yes. Right?
How
And we get to see her actually speaking her some Spanish because she is in fact a Mexican. She was born in
she
Mexico.
is Mexican,
Her
yes.
Yes. Yes, so I liked kind of getting to see her speak Spanish, and I'm loving actually kind of seeing all these clips of her and Tenoch like dancing together to Hispanic music,
I
and
mean, obviously not
it's
even
very fun.
speaking Spanish in Haiti because she's speaking French in Haiti, but
Yes,
that's because she can also speak French.
yes,
Lupita
she's a
Nyong'o
very
can basically do
do
everything.
anything, yes. And just culturally to speak to, just, the beautiful clothes, the beautiful hairstyle, seeing the natural the locks and the braids and, the curls and just the beautiful hairstyles and wigs and, the beautiful outfits, the colorful clothes, like, everyone looked great, like, they picked great complementary colors to the beautiful dark skin tones of these women and these people and these characters. So I just have to speak to that. Ruth E. Carter, Oscar winner, like beautiful styling in terms of the hair and just kind of keeping up that cultural
Yeah.
look and celebrating beautiful dark skinned black women, beautiful dark skinned black people. And they just looked great. So I have to just mention that
Yes.
for one thing. But yes, we find her in Haiti. She left, you know, after I think probably I think they kind of said it probably just before the blip happened because she was gone for about 6 years and
Or was it not just after when because he went, didn't he?
he
He was
yeah,
dusted, was
he
old
was
T'Challa.
dusted. Yes, and so was Shuri. So she kind of
Yeah.
left and said, it was just difficult kind of, he was everything to her. He was her T'Challa and, but he had to be this role of king in Black Panther and so he could not be, you know, what she needed him to be for her. So, it was difficult for her. She didn't come to the funeral. So she has been in Haiti for the last 6 years. So we come to learn in the post credits, mid credit
The
scene,
mid-credit scene.
mid credit scene, no post
I
credit
mean,
scene.
there's not even any point telling people that there's no post-credit scene because if people listening to this now who haven't seen Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, it's your own stupid fault for listening to this
Yes,
particular part of
yes,
the episode.
exactly. You ruined it for
Um,
yourself because we warned you from the start.
but
So
there is no post-credit scene. There is a
no, it just
mid-credit
says the
scene,
Black Panther will return. But
which again is deeply moving.
yes,
Because
beautiful,
the
beautiful.
very end of this movie, when obviously Shuri's in Haiti, she's at
She's
Nakia's
doing the ceremony
house.
to she's on the beach doing the ceremony that her mother had wanted to do with her, being near the water, burning the funeral robes,
Yes.
the white robes, and
The end of the
kind
mourning period.
yes, and she's just contemplating having a quiet moment, and then here comes
In the
Nakia.
mid-credit scene, here
Yes,
comes Nikki. Yes.
Nakia with a young boy by her side and says, "This is my son Toussaint. This is your nephew." Um,
Which at this point we're all thinking,
oh my
"Ooh."
gosh! And then she says, "But Toussaint is his Haitian name," and he says, "Oh, so cute." He says, "Oh, just so cute. I am Prince T'Challa, son of King T'Challa," just like Chadwick says.
Yes.
And it's like the sweetest thing, and they have a cute little moment, and like, "Oh, I hear you're good at keeping secrets," and so, just, like, setting up that legacy and, like, the
T'Challa Jr.
yes, and they really kind of picked someone who really kind of captured that Chadwick smile and essence,
Yeah.
and yes, and, you know, she explains that they plan to kind of raise him away from the pressures of the throne, especially with T'Challa being dusted, there would have been probably even more pressure. They
Yeah.
didn't come to the funeral because that would have been revealing him. Ramonda did get to meet him and know of his existence, and T'Challa did prepare them for his death, and they had their own ceremony there. So they do kind of get into that, you know, T'Challa was fully aware, he knew his son, um, and
Even
they had
Ramonda did.
he did, and they planned it out and talked it through, and so it wasn't a so he can talk about his father with a smile
Yes.
and remember him and really kind of understand the concept of death not being the end, and instead of kind of talking about his father from a sad aspect. So I love that it's kind of a very hopeful scene. It's
It
very
is.
much a
It
great
is.
honor that we will still have a T'Challa as a Black
T'Challa
Panther
lives.
eventually.
Yes, T'Challa lives.
Yes, and, you know, obviously, this phase has really kind of been heavy-handed with a Young Avengers type kind of setup
Yes. Yeah.
situation, so
This
they
guy's a
could
bit too young.
yes,
He's 6 years old.
but I mean, if we're talking about Wanda's kids and aging
Yeah,
things
well,
up
yeah.
and Cassie
Mm.
and changing casting and things like that, who knows, time jumps, future,
Let
different timelines, different multiverses, I don't
Well,
know.
yes. Yes, you are
So
quite right. I would just say let Shuri be the Black Panther for a little bit.
yes, so she's going to have the mantle, I think, for a decent amount of time, but, you know, T'Challa still lives in
He
this
does.
iteration of the
T'Challa
MCU.
Jr.
Yes, so I loved that. It was a beautiful honoring. This movie had a huge undertaking, and I think they were successful in really honoring Chadwick, really kind of revising the story kind of at the 11th hour, having to figure out
Yeah.
how to make this work, doing what they needed to do to connect it to the bigger MCU, but not having it you know, encroach on this very intimate story. Great performances from everyone, really easy introductions of new characters, interesting arcs with these characters as well, and just a beautifully told story. I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah,
So
just an honestly wonderful, wonderful movie. Probably the strongest thing to come out of Phase 4.
yes,
I mean,
so
certainly, I'd say the strongest movie to come
yes,
out of Phase 4. I've really enjoyed some of the television.
yeah,
But certainly, I would say the strongest movie to come out of this. A beautiful way to end that phase that, like I said, has been about grief, has been about dealing with a totally new world,
yeah,
dealing with loss, these kind of things. It is a perfect end to that phase of the MCU. Is a perfect honoring of
yeah,
Chadwick Boseman,
definitely,
and it's a brilliant, brilliant movie in its own right.
yes, I
Everything
really
went
enjoyed it.
went
Mhm.
correctly for this
Yes,
movie in the end, which
yeah,
is just wonderful to think of.
it
And
had a
look,
difficult job, and I think it succeeded 100%.
yeah, to see what will come after this, I'm very excited to that. We still have Namor around. He wasn't killed.
No, they've made an alliance. It is a very shaky alliance because,
It is.
we
It's a
have
very shaky
yes,
alliance.
we have him very much kind of like on edge about it and still kind of making, behind the scenes power moves in terms of it. But
Yeah,
yeah, so we'll see where that goes. But
we certainly will. More mutants to come, no doubt, from the
yes.
MCU. But yes, Wakanda Forever, wonderful, wonderful
Great.
movie. I think we get one shout of Wakanda Forever in the entire movie. I think, don't we?
Yes.
And it's Shuri in the kind of at the end of the final battle when they've made their alliance. I think Namor says something in what's the language they speak? Talakanese? Probably not what it's called,
No.
but he says something in that. What's his actual Talokan name? Kukulkan or something like that.
Kulkan. Yeah.
And then Shuri gives a big scream of Wakanda Forever, which is
Yes.
always very
Always
nice,
great.
isn't it?
Hmm.
Always very nice.
Yes.
But yes. Anyway, let us honor someone else now, Janine. Let us move
Yes.
on to honor someone else because the Batman passed
Yes.
away this week. The Kevin Conroy. This is we mentioned this at the beginning of the show. Kevin Conroy only once played Batman in live action. This was, I believe, in the CW's Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover event
Oh, yes.
that I have obviously never watched. But Kevin Conroy was Batman in animated form, in video game form. I think when you hear Batman's voice, if you're not doing some sort of weird Christian Bale impression, you're
It's
hearing
his voice.
Kevin
Yes.
Conroy's voice.
And the way that he felt like the importance of, I need to put on two different voices. I need to really
Yeah,
distinguish between Bruce Wayne and Batman and really make them feel like two different people and two different sides. And so that was really something he wanted to incorporate to flesh out this character. And I think it's kind of his staple of his performance as
yeah.
Bruce Wayne and Batman.
He did things with the character that just were not done before, could not be done as well since.
Yeah.
And in the years since Batman the Animated Series, which is it's 30 years old now, 1992 when Batman the Animated Series first aired, but in the years since, people have continued to clamor for him to come back to voice animated Batmans, to voice
Yeah, so
video
even
game versions of
yeah,
Batman.
so several animated movies for Warner Brothers, he's done the voice.
Yes, he's
Um,
done several animated shows. Even he's not just Batman the Animated Series. He did the Great Justice League animated show from the early 2000s. He was Batman, obviously, in that. He's been Batman in many Batman animated shows, not just the definitive animated series.
yeah. So The Killing
Um,
Joke, one of my probably favorite, like my movie that I
Mask
always
of the
see as
Phantasm.
the what the Suicide Squad should have been, like the original movie that was totally terrible, is Assault on Arkham. It's a great animated
Yeah,
film, and he did the voice of the Batman in
yeah.
that one.
I mean, to me, um, he will always be my Batman from the early Arkham video games, the early Arkham games. I am not a massive gamer by any stretch of the imagination, but Arkham Asylum and Arkham City were kind of let this take over my life for a significant period of time kind of
Okay.
games for me. And Kevin Conroy was Batman in those
In those
games.
games. Yes.
They are outstanding video
Yes,
games.
yeah. I'm someone
Um,
who, like, didn't play them, but, like, I loved the story, so I, like, actually would just watch playthroughs
yeah,
on YouTube
they are such
to see the story
wonderful games,
aspects. Yeah.
and that introduced me to Kevin Conroy as Batman, to which I then went and watched the animated series and realized that he was still doing this great stuff back then, and very early on, and his first big voice role.
Yes, I mean, I'm probably more of the camp of the animated series, like, coming home, Fox Kids, and,
Yeah.
after school watching Power Rangers and Batman the Animated Series, Spider-Man and Batman the Animated Series was one of my favorites. Like, I loved, the music and the
Yes.
animation style. That dark deco style was something that inspired me as an artist to this day. I loved just the look of the characters, and then just his voice work as this character, really, solidified him as a great Batman, like, just dark and gritty, um, and then kind of this very smooth, suave,
It's very look,
playboy
it's so
version of
smooth.
Bruce Wayne. Yes, just so
Even his
fluid.
Batman though, his Batman is very dark, but it's such a smooth voice.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, this is his natural voice. This is, the gift that Kevin Conroy had,
Yeah.
was his voice. And it's really sad to know that he's passed. It's really sad to know that he will never, we
Voice
will
this
never
character,
get anything of
anything new of
Kevin
him as this
Conroy's
character,
Batman
yeah.
again. We
Yes.
have a significant amount. I can always just go and throw on Arkham City and spend an entire weekend if I wanted to.
Just
I
hearing
say
his
I
voice.
would tell you, Ginny, I say we're not doing any recording this weekend. We're not doing any shows. I want to play this entire game
Yes.
just to have Kevin Conroy in my ear shouting things as Batman,
Yeah.
saying things like Joker. And just little words, Alfred. It's just perfect. You don't even need to say big long sentences. Riddler. It's just that's how Batman sounds. That's what
Yes.
Batman sounds like, and that
Yeah.
is Kevin Conroy. It's very, very sad.
Yeah. So
I
this was
am
a tough one.
definitely going to put on those games
Yes, no,
um,
I'm
at
definitely gonna
some
be
point.
watching some episodes of the animated
Watch
series
it,
for
yes,
sure,
certainly,
because
certainly, certainly. But no, we had to pay our respects to him. It's another massively sad loss from this year, which
yeah.
has had a real good few kind of big hitters. Um, it's been
It's been
tough.
tough.
It's
Yeah.
been
And I
tough.
mean, and just to mention, like, I don't think a lot of people knew him to be a gay man as well. So
Yes, he
just a
was. He
point
was.
of representation in the LGBTQ community as this character as
And
well. So
I think this informed his Batman, the duality of it,
mhm.
the putting on a
A
a
face
face
and a mask and,
aspect of it.
and seeing that masked version as kind of the real you, and
Yeah,
putting on this facade for the world, and
yeah.
yeah.
I know
Mhm.
he wrote a Batman story for, I think, a Pride collection for DC,
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
um, which I haven't actually read, but I'm aware that it was incredibly well received as as a story segment,
Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
as a comic segment. But yeah, no, he absolutely was, and he should be remembered as a significant voice in the LGBT community, as well as
Yeah.
being a
Mhm.
phenomenal Batman.
Yes.
Um, yes, we had to do that. We had to simply do that, and
Yes.
it moves us in. Our entire show now turns to Batman.
Yes.
Goes from Black Panther to Batman,
Yes.
because our Let's Talk, which I think we'll get on into now, Ginny,
Yes.
is we're going to be talking just a couple of our favorite episodes of Batman the Animated Series. Because, like I said, while I may have become deeply fond of Kevin Conroy's Batman due to the Arkham games, Batman the Animated Series is where he began. Everything definitive that you think about Batman is basically from the Batman the Animated Series.
Yes.
A little few comics in the 80s, sure. Maybe if you think Adam West is definitive as Batman, okay. but for the general population and the kind of world of Gotham, the rogues gallery, the supporting cast, the voice of Batman, even the look of Batman for many people comes from Batman, the animated series. It
Yes.
is one of the best animated television shows ever.
Yes, very kind of mature storytelling, but also kind of very fun for kids and
And let's not forget how much it loves old Hollywood.
oh yes, it's very much that vibe, that the like the Art Deco, but
It
like,
loves
you know,
old
this idea.
noir movies,
Yes,
Janine.
and it's very much a noir style show,
And
and
so do I.
just from their title cards, their beautifully animated title cards. I loved the design of these characters. I was very disappointed when they changed it in later seasons, but
Yeah.
the earlier episodes I absolutely loved, kind of the diffuse glow, the kind of grain, the art grain in there, the fact that it was drawn on black paper, so you got this
Yeah.
kind of dark, always constantly dark Gotham.
Even in the height of day, in high noon, it was dark in Gotham.
Yes, yes. And yeah, just great performances, great voice acting, all around.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely all around.
yes.
Absolutely all around. I mean, there's been some beautiful tributes to Kevin Conroy come out from the vast supporting cast of the animated series in
Oh,
particular. You think
yeah.
of Mark Hamill's put a
Oh, yes.
beautiful thing out about him.
Tara
Tara
Strong,
Strong's was,
Clancy Brown, he was in the show, you
yeah,
know, yeah.
Paul Dini and and Bruce Timm
Bruce
and people
Timm,
like
mhm,
this. Just significant names in the
mhm.
world of Batman, just coming together to pay their respects, to honor their friend, to honor who seemed just like
Will
the
Friedle, who did the, Batman Beyond
yeah.
with him. Yeah.
He just always seemed like the most pleasant man, Kevin Conroy. Um, I think a lot of people would tell you that because he obviously did a hell of a lot of conventions, um, and seemingly was always just delightful to people.
Yeah.
It's a shame that I never got the opportunity. Um, or I should say, it's a shame we never got the
You
opportunity,
know,
Janine.
that's
But these unfortunate things happen. If you did get the opportunity, take that memory and remember it fondly,
yeah.
because his legacy will live on for ages, because it will certainly live on in the animated series. And we did want to talk about a couple of our favorite episodes of
Yeah.
that show. Janine, would you like to start with one of yours?
Sure. I mean, there are several episodes I love. Anything with Catwoman, of course, Poison Ivy, of course,
Yes,
Harley
yes,
Quinn, the character of Harley Quinn introduced in this show before she was even a
yes.
comic character. So great episodes with Harley Quinn. But I wanted to pick a Batman centric episode to honor this great voice actor. And so I picked Perchance to Dream. This
Mm,
was an episode where Bruce kind of wakes up and uh realizing he doesn't have to be Batman. Like he has the happy life that he wants. His parents are alive, so he didn't become Batman, and he's engaged to Selena Kyle. Everything's going great. He's running Wayne Enterprises, but and he's thinking, okay, this is going well. And then he sees a Batman swinging out the window and he's very confused and he doesn't understand. And, he has the perfect happy life that he wants, but something's missing and he doesn't understand who is this person pretending to be Batman because he's Batman, right? So just kind of the confusion of this episode and really playing into that duality and him, having the opportunity at a happy life and kind of trying to understand, even if he got a happy life, would he still need this? Would he still have this inherent need to symbolize justice and fight
yeah,
and do these things? And obviously kind of you get to the final result that he does really need Batman. Batman is a big part of him because, then he kind of has this fight as Bruce Wayne with this Batman figure that, he finds. And so it's a really kind of interesting uh side to see, like, how would his life be if his parents didn't die, if he didn't suffer this tragedy, and how important is Batman to Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, it's it's a great episode. I know there's a there's a great many. I mean, I suppose one of mine that I would have to bring up because I think it's probably the most
I
well
think
revered
you've picked
episode, isn't it?
probably the 2 of the most, like, critically acclaimed episodes.
Possibly, but I think they are that for a reason. I really do think they are
Yes.
that for a reason because I think, you speak about that being, perchance to dream being a very Batman centric episode, you wanting to honor the legacy of Kevin Conroy. Well, what better episode to honor the legacy of Batmen who came before than
Yes.
Beware the Grey Ghost?
I love this episode. I literally watched this episode the day that Adam West passed away. It was just, like, a
Yeah,
very nice tribute thing for
it
me.
is.
Yeah.
It's the perfect tribute to what the character means to people, to what the character means to those who have played him, to the influences of the character.
Yeah.
It's not just a great story in itself, but it says far more about the actual real world legacy than I mean the story itself is about the legacy of the Grey Ghost, and things like this. But to have that be voiced by Adam West,
Yeah.
it's it's
And
meta, but not in a funny way.
no, it's meta in a very smart way because he's this character that young Bruce Wayne was watching and took a lot of inspiration
Yeah,
from.
it's
And it's just like, that early first iteration of Batman by Adam West being
yes,
an inspiration for later Batman. So
yeah.
it's definitely this
No
really
matter
cool
how
juxtaposition.
weird Adam West's Batman may be, and
He was the first, and he had his moment in the sun that was really kind of a fun, interesting, memorable thing.
it was. And look, I enjoy Batman 66, the movie. I
Mhm.
enjoy
It's a
Batman
lot of fun.
Adam West TV show. Running around with this ridiculous oversized bomb is just it's a memed scene, isn't it? But
Yes,
it's a
but I mean,
it's a
even in the
brilliant.
animated series, we get an episode where Batman is fighting a shark. So
We do
I
get
would take
silly
that as
things
a
in the
yeah,
animated series.
yeah.
100% you get silly things in that. But no, Beware the Grey Ghost is not a silly episode at all. It's
No, it's
it's a
very emotional.
poignant episode. It's
Yeah,
a very emotional episode. It speaks to influence and it speaks to legacy.
especially because, I mean, the man who plays the Grey Ghost, he's kind of this washed up actor who can't
Yeah.
get any work. So then to kind of learn later that, like, his character, it meant something to people.
And meant
Um,
something to Bruce Wayne, who obviously
yeah.
nobody knows is Batman, but think of all the
Yeah,
good
but then they have this
Batman
little
he's doing.
moment, then he kind of, because these crimes that are happening are based off of Grey Ghost stories. So
Yeah.
kind of by the end of the episode now, he's kind of back in the limelight, he's signing autographs, and him and Bruce Wayne kinda shared this, like, nice little glance at each other, you
Yes,
know?
it's also because it's this crime mystery thing, and I know a lot of the episodes of animated series are obviously crime mystery things. It's also a very noirish episode
Yes,
in
yes,
this
for
sense. I
sure.
mean, the look of the Grey Ghost himself
Yes.
is incredibly 40s noir.
Yes.
And yes, again, this is just something I'm into. This is clearly why I have developed this fondness for noir because I have an older fondness for Batman. So
Yeah.
this it all carries over.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
but it's no, I think people will often say it's the episode of Batman the Animated Series, but I just think that's because it's the one that actually speaks to
The legacy.
the legacy of the character of Batman
Yeah.
the most. It's not just a great mystery story, it's not just a great emotional character story, but it speaks to that. And what better time to think about stuff like that than with the passing of arguably what people would say is the Batman.
Yeah.
He Kevin Conroy is the Batman for many people.
Yeah.
I just think Beware the Grey Ghost
It's a good one.
should be watched.
Yeah, it's a really good one. So my second episode, I did have a hard time kind of picking between like one that was like my actual like favorite and one that was just a really great episode, a really excuse me, great looking episode. On Leather Wings, I believe it's the second episode that ever aired. Just a beautiful looking episode. The animation is top notch, kind of just the shadowing and the staging and how scenes are kind of filmed and look are just great. The transformation of the man bat and kind of the story
Yes.
of kind of people thinking the man bat is Batman
I
and
think
just
I think this is the great thing about the animated series as well, is that it gives characters like Man-Bat legitimacy.
yeah.
It gives them real kind of weight.
Yes, introduced us to some a whole kind of great rogues gallery aside from the kind of main characters that we
Yeah.
know, which we will get into with our game,
Oh,
I'm
certainly,
sure.
certainly, certainly.
The kind of outlier rogues, but yeah. So On Leather Wings is definitely a great looking episode where the
It
animation I
is.
think
It
is
is.
beautiful. The scenes are beautiful. The story is really great.
Body
Some
horrors,
great
full of
shots.
body horror
Yeah,
as well with the Man-Bat.
and just a kind of a great story as well. I think it was definitely the second episode I think that aired. But my absolute all-time favorite episode is Almost Got Him,
Which
where
is a wonderful episode.
such a fun episode where all the villains are getting together just to kind of see them all sitting around. We have Joker, Poison Ivy, Two-Face, Penguin, and Killer Croc, and they're all sitting around playing poker and talking about and just reliving these stories, almost like a bit of a kind of flashback anthology kind of episode
Yeah.
where they kind of flash back to their little moment where they almost got Batman, but they
They're
couldn't quite.
obsessed with him.
Yes. And just the funniest, absolute funniest scene, they get to Killer Croc, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna tell you my story. I threw a rock at him." And they all just look at him like,
That's his entire story.
"It was a big rock." Yeah, so it's really hilarious. And then kind of the end fun twist is that Killer Croc told such a crappy story because he is in fact Batman
Yes, yes, of course.
in disguise. And they really did not get him. Batman one upped them.
Stupid thing. Stupid twist at the end.
It's so
It is
funny.
funny,
It's
that,
it's
though.
just
It
a
is
very
funny.
kind of light episode, really funny to see all these villains kind of just chilling together. And that Killer Croc moment just
Yeah.
gets me every time when he's like, "I threw a rock at him." And they all just look at him like it just
You know,
gets so quiet, crickets.
I
It just
think
cracks me up
it's
every
the
time.
perfect it's the perfect showcase of just how sassy Mark Hamill's Joker can be.
Yes.
We're not actually saying anything though. You just picture it, and he's just looking.
His face.
I shouldn't even say Mark Hamill's Joker. I mean, this is Bruce Timm's drawing. Really, this is what
Yes.
this is. Of Joker in this. He's just real side eye to Killer
Yes.
Croc in that particular moment. Just
Yes.
like, oh, what a
Everyone's just looking at
rock.
him like, "What?" And he's really excited about his story. But yeah, just seeing them all together, kind of
Yeah.
seeing this anthology kind of flashback, all of them kind of seeing their villainous style and them kind of comparing notes. I thought this was just like a really fun staged episode, seeing all these characters together, like the biggest rogues
Yeah.
and yeah, and then kind
Coming
of seeing
together
at
for
the end.
mutual obsession of Batman rather than
Yes.
fighting against
And
each
then
other.
for it to kind of all play into the end, Batman really end up one-upping them like in all of their stories by
Yeah.
the end. I just think it's such a fun episode. It cracks me up.
It is. It is.
And it's a lot of fun. So almost
Very,
got
very
him.
much so. Very, very much
My all-time
so.
favorite episode.
Well, I talked about legitimizing some of the somewhat lesser villains, because what I actually think is my favorite episode is Heart of Ice.
Oh yes.
which is the Mr. Freeze episode.
Yes.
It is Mr. Freeze being a ridiculous joke, really, of a character up until this point. You got your Mr. Freeze in the Adam West things. Obviously, they were treated quite silly. You even got
Yeah.
your Mr. Freeze after this animated series with Schwarzenegger's Mr. Freeze that was obviously treated quite silly.
Yeah.
This Mr. Freeze, I'll give the Arkham games Mr. Freeze, actually. Arkham City's Mr. Freeze is outstanding as well.
Yeah.
Outstanding. This is the birth of Mr. Freeze as a legitimate
character,
wonderful
because
character.
he was a kind of just a side little character as well, and
He was.
this episode really kind of made him an interesting, fleshed out, interesting character that would go on to
so
do more
emotional.
and be more of a bigger character in comics and everything else. So
Yeah, it you know, every Mr. Freeze fan has Heart of Ice to thank
yeah.
because it's such an emotional tale
Yes.
of just determination, of love, of this kind of non-stop mentality to save, obviously his wife, his cryogenically frozen wife, who has to be cryogenically frozen because she's suffering an illness, but he's just continually trying to find help, and it drives him insane.
Yeah.
It drives him insane trying to find cures, trying to find medicines because of his love for Nora. Everything Mr. Freeze does is all down to Nora. These are the best stories of Mr. Freeze when he's doing something for Nora. Heart of Ice, the Arkham City game. This is why Schwarzenegger's Mr. Freeze doesn't work, because Nora is kind of sidelined a bit, isn't she? Really, where is she? She's not
in his
really in that
freezer.
movie.
Freezer.
She makes a showing. But there's no big hole. He's far more interested in talking about the Ice Age and ice
Making
creams
ice
and ice skating and other
Also,
things.
how convenient to have the last name Freeze and that you just get ice.
I mean,
powers.
his last name, yes, okay. His
But like
name
they don't
is Victor
spell it.
Freeze. Sure.
They don't
could also,
spell it, but
no, they don't. They spell it Victor Fries. But Victor Fries, Victor Freeze, Nora Fries, Nora Freeze.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, that's just comic books. But I think he's a wonderful, wonderful character. And this is just the perfect example of Batman the Animated Series treating these characters as serious. Treating these characters not as a joke. I love it when things do like this. I remember reading some of Tom King's run of Batman a good few years ago now. And he legitimized Kite Man as a villain with a emotional backstory, with significance, and made him into somebody that you did not think of as a joke. And I just think when you can do this with certain villains who were, and for a long, long time were treated as such, to have one thing come out and it all change, your mentality of that all change. Heart of Ice is just perfect. I love Heart of Ice.
This series was great at that. We had that Dollface character. She had a pretty dark backstory. The guy with the ventriloquist
the
dummy
ventriloquist,
kind of
the
controlling
ventriloquist,
him.
he's
Clock
a great
King, like just all these
even
really
Clock King, Clock King has is tried to make legitimate. I don't think it quite works with Clock King.
Yes, but giving them each a kind of fleshed out, pretty dark kind of backstory and understanding of
the ventriloquist's easy enough to do, though. You just turn it into Anthony Hopkins in magic.
Yeah, those ventriloquist stories always can go pretty.
That's the same thing.
Easily.
That's the same thing. But no, Heart of Ice is my favorite.
Great. I think that's many people's favorite. But yeah, great show, great episodes. so
Yes.
nuanced for a children's kind of show. Great
Supposedly a
storytelling.
children's show. Just
Yeah.
because it's animated, Janine, does not mean it's
Yeah.
for
Well, I mean,
children.
it came on during a children's run of TV because I would watch it every day after school.
Yeah,
So
but all the parents were excited to tune into Batman. They'd gotten over watching reruns of Adam West and Vincent Price throwing eggs at people.
yeah.
They didn't want any
Excellent.
more of that.
Excellent.
That's what
Yes.
you know. What that's what the animated series could have done. Could they have legitimized Egghead? No,
I think
no,
they
they
could
could.
have.
I
They
don't
could
think they
have.
could have done that.
I think
I
they
don't
should have.
think they
They
could
could
have
have
done that.
tried.
They could have tried. They could have tried. I'm almost thankful they didn't try.
Yeah.
Anyway, Janine, let us end this week's episode of Monday Madness with a Batman game. This will be. What should we call this one? What did we call it last week? Which is which?
Which
We
is
called it
which?
last week. This is what's my real name, and that's what this is called.
Name the rogues.
Name the rogues. What's my real name? We're giving each other 5 Batman villains, and we are to answer with their real human names, because not many go by their actual names, do they? I mean, Ra's al Ghul, Ra's al Ghul, however you want to pronounce his name. Do you say Raish or Raz? I mean, Raish probably because it comes from the animated series. Yeah, Raz is a Batman Begins pronunciation, isn't it?
Yes.
Ra's al Ghul is Kevin Conroy's pronunciation, so we should pronounce it like that. He uses his real name. That's his real name.
Yes.
Talia al Ghul. All the Al Ghuls use their real name.
All the Al Ghuls.
Hugo Strange uses his real name. That's just his name.
That's just his weird name.
But most of the rest of them don't. So
yes,
we have 5 each, I think, Janine.
Yes.
You're not very excited about today's fun and games?
No, because I'm pretty sure you didn't pick any basic characters or popular characters.
Maybe second and third tier Batman villains, sure.
Okay.
Would you like to answer first? You always
Yes,
like to answer first.
do.
Okay. Janine, can you give me the name of Clayface? Clayface,
Okay.
he transforms into a big clay thing and can transform into anything, basically. That's the point of Clayface.
He used to be an actor. I loved his episode. He used to be an actor, and
yes, he did.
And he got in an accident, and he uses these Daggett, I believe, creams to fix his face, and then that's what turns him into this monster.
It's true, actually, as well. It is another great episode of Batman the Animated Series.
Yes. I believe his name is Basil Carlo.
His name is indeed Basil Carlo, playing off Boris Karloff. Because he's an old horror actor, isn't he, Basil Carlo? I think that's what he's supposed to be.
We named him from. Okay, well, I'm going to be nice. Give you one
nice
easy, one
mainstream. I thought Clayface was pretty mainstream. Clayface is definitely the biggest Batman villain. But I don't think a lot of people
know. But I don't think people know his real name.
Possibly not, but Clayface, I think.
Okay.
Clayface, I think, is the biggest Batman villain to not have a live action adaptation yet.
Yes, that's true.
And I think it would be difficult to do a Clayface. It would be. It would be very challenging.
Yeah.
But I think he is the biggest one. Yes, Basil Carlo. Yes, though. Yes.
Okay, I will be nice and give you the Scarecrow.
Scarecrow is Dr. Jonathan Crane.
Yes, correct.
As played by Cillian Murphy in Batman Begins.
Yes.
And I forget who voiced him in the Arkham games, actually, now. I think
in the series it was someone pretty notable.
Oh, it was Jeffrey Combs. It was Jeffrey Combs voiced Scarecrow in Batman the Animated Series. Yes, it was. Yes, Jonathan Crane. Okay. Janine, can you give me the name of the Mad Hatter?
Oh.
To which we'll all do impressions of him and go, Alice, Sally, Sue, let's have some tea. Because it's not
No.
like
Yes.
you can't
I
give me the
no,
real
I
name of the
don't
Mad
know.
Hatter.
Mm-mm.
The Mad Hatter, I also quite like in the animated series, and I do quite like the Mad Hatter's little side mission you do it in Arkham City game as well. The Mad Hatter's real name, Jeannine, is Jervis Tetch.
Oh, yeah, see, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Educational as well as fun and games.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, well, I'm looking. It's John Noble who voiced him in the series.
John Noble as in Denethor from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Okay, that's weird.
Did the
enough.
Scarecrow? Yes.
Oh, John Noble did the Scarecrow.
Yeah, Scarecrow.
Oh, it was Jeffrey Combs then.
I don't know. I do not know, sir.
Maybe have I got this horrendously wrong? I don't know. I don't want to. I'll look at it.
All right. Well, you had your easy one, so now I'm giving you Condiment King.
Condiment King. Condiment King. That's unfair. That's legitimately unfair because he's not even real. And he just squirts ketchup and mustard. I've got absolutely no idea. Is it some sort of condiment-based pun? I'd like to think it is.
In comics, he has a different name, and his name in the comics is definitely condiment related.
God.
But
is it somebody mustard? Is he called Mustard? Is he called Mr. Mustard?
The other one.
He's called Mr. Ketchup. You're telling me he's called
the other one.
The other mayonnaise, Mr. Mayonnaise.
Yes, his animated name is Buddy Standler, but his comics name is Mitchell Mayo.
Mitchell Mayo. What? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yes.
I refuse. I genuinely refuse.
Yes.
I'm still trying to find who he was, who Jeffrey Combs was in Batman. Why is it being so horrible to me, Jeannine? Anyway, I'm dawdling, Jeannine. I'm dawdling.
Okay.
Jeannine, could you give me the real name of Black Mask?
Well, thank you to Birds of Prey.
Yes.
A movie I greatly enjoy. His name is Roman Sionis.
It is. As wonderfully played by Ewan McGregor.
Yes.
Birds
Your
of Prey,
celebrity doppelganger, Ewan McGregor.
If you say so. I am Ewan
I mean,
McGregor.
in the right lighting.
In the right light. Sure, in the right light.
Okay.
Why is it not telling me? Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Well, we did mention him earlier. What is the real name of Clock King?
Clock King? Stop being horrible to me. Jeffrey Combs was actually a scarecrow, but not the animated series Scarecrow.
Okay.
So I don't think I was entirely wrong. The Clock King, I've got absolutely no goddamn clue what the Clock King's name is. Is it Mr. Tick, Mr. Ticker, Mr. Clock?
No, it's not that obvious.
Hickory Dickory Dock, Clock
Temple
King.
Fugate.
What?
Fugate. Temple Fugate.
That's not a name. It's a made-up word. I refuse to acknowledge
Well, we
that.
both went very obscure, and I couldn't think of any.
Okay then. Give me Deathstroke's name.
Deathstroke, I believe, is this the character who was kind of stolen by Marvel to be Deadpool?
Is it?
No, you're like you're questioning.
Or was that somebody else?
See, you're messing with my head now.
Was that Deathstroke or was it Deadshot?
Stop it! I'm pretty sure it's Deathstroke. I think you're just messing with me.
Okay, sure,
And
okay.
they even went down to copying the name, because Deadpool's name is Wade Wilson. I believe Deathstroke's name is Slade Wilson.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
See, you were really trying to F with me. You almost got me.
It is.
Almost got
It is
me.
Slade Wilson. I'm
Almost
not
got him.
sure. I'm not gonna win this because you're gonna throw out some other nonsense now, aren't you?
I'm going to give you Man Bat.
Oh, I should know that. Oh, I should know that. I definitely should know that, and I feel appalled that I kind of don't. No, that's Hush's name. I'm thinking of Tommy Elliott. That's Hush. Man, what's the hell's Man Bat's name? Is it something with a K? Oh, for God's sake, now even give me a clue. I
You
genuinely
literally
don't know.
just messed with me.
I know, I genuinely don't know off the top of my head here, and I feel like I should. I'm quite upset with myself that I don't know the Man Bat's name. I feel like it's something with a K, though. It's a doctor somebody. I'm sure it's a doctor somebody. Dr. Kilgore? No, it's not Dr. Kilgore, is it? What's his name?
Dr. Kurt Langstrom.
Kurt Langstrom.
Kurt.
Kurt Langstrom. I knew it was a K.
Yes.
Yes, I
you're
knew
right,
that. I knew
Dr.
that,
Kurt
Kurt
Langstrom.
Langstrom.
Yes.
I knew that. Okay. Jeannine, please give me the preferably full name of the Calendar Man.
I don't know.
You don't know at all.
March Day. August.
Is that your final answer?
August Monthleton. Monthal Day.
Monthal Day is your final answer.
August Yearington.
Yearington. Mr. Yearington?
Yes, I have no idea.
Well, you weren't actually too far off. His last name is, in fact, Day. His full name is Julian Gregory Day, as in the different calendars, the different types of calendar, the Julian calendar, the Gregorian calendar, and then his last name is Day.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Okay, clever naming there.
I don't know if my camera's gone a little bit odd at the moment. It possibly
but we can still see you. So with the blur, you look more like Ewan McGregor, so it's fine.
Okay, that works. That works.
All right.
So what's the score? What's the score?
You think you have?
You got Clayface and Black Mask.
And you got.
Oh no, and Deathstroke.
Yes. And
you got 3.
You've got 1.
I've only got 1.
You got the Scarecrow.
Oh, I've lost. Okay, let's make it respectable then. Come on.
Killer Croc.
Killer Croc is Waylon Jones.
That is correct.
Yes, I knew that one. I knew Killer Croc. Killer Croc, Waylon, not Waylon Smithers. That's Mr. Burns' person.
Yes. All right.
If Killer Croc was Waylon Smithers, would you imagine that? I'm just picturing that. Sir, you have something in your teeth.
Oh no.
No, it's a terrible idea.
But yes, Waylon
Mr.
Jones.
Smithers.
You got it.
Killer Croc. 3-2. I'll take a 3-2 loss, given the fact you give me Condiment and Clock King. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculously unfair, and I should have got Man Bat.
Yes, had you gotten Man Bat, would have been a nice tie.
I know the Firefly's name. I think his name's Garfield Lins.
Well, it would be very sad to think about, because we will not be getting that movie with Brendan Fraser playing that character, because
Don't know.
Zorboff.
Because of
Mr.
Zorboff.
Zorboff killed that movie.
Oh dear. What a shame, Zorboff. Anyway, enough with Zorboff. Yay to Batman. Yay to
Yay!
celebrating Batman. Yay to celebrating Batman the Animated Series. And yay to celebrating Kevin Conroy.
Yes.
Yay to everything, really. I mean, Wakanda
Yeah.
Forever, yay. Daniel Kaluuya in the Spiderverse, yay.
New
John Wick 4,
yay.
yay. Everything has been somewhat sad, but yay and celebratory on
Yay.
today's episode of Monday Madness, Jeannine, and I have thoroughly enjoyed myself.
Me too.
Yes. Good. Lovely. We love it. Monday Madness, Jeannine, is not the only show you can find on this It's a Wonderful podcast feed, nor is it the only thing you can find on the YouTube channel if you are indeed watching this on the It's a Wonderful podcast YouTube channel, is it?
No, of course, on this channel, we have some fun things you can check out. We have some watch-alongs. We have fun live streams. You can check out some of our fun videos. I do movie reviews. Morgan does share his movie haul of his physical media. So check out all our fun videos there on the channel. Like,
Retro
share,
trailer
subscribe.
reactions.
Yes. Like, share, subscribe, do all the things on the channel. But also on the podcast feed, not only can you find Monday Madness, you can also find Morgan Hasn't Seen every Wednesday, where I force Morgan to watch things he hasn't seen. We are talking Spielberg movies Morgan hasn't seen right now, so we're having a lot of fun with that. And also on the feed, every Friday we have our main show, It's a Wonderful Podcast, where we give love to classic films. So check that out every Monday, Wednesday, Friday on the podcast feed. We have you covered.
We certainly do on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Castbox, Amazon Music, and everywhere else. If you are, of course, watching on YouTube, subscribe, ding your notification bells on this channel for all that fun stuff, as well as Monday Madness every single week on the YouTube channel. But go and subscribe to the podcast feed as well on your chosen platform. It will be there. I can promise you that. And if it isn't, then don't blame me. Blame the podcast platform. Please don't blame me, whatever you do. You can see some things scrolling down at the bottom of the screen as well if you are, of course, watching, including the Patreon and donation link if you would like to support us that way. There are links in the description. We can't do what we do without the generous support of our wonderful patrons. We love them all dearly. And we thank them all weekly. That is actually true. That's accurate. That's very accurate. Officially, thank you. And that's actually very accurate. Well done, Morgan. I'm patting myself on the back there.
Yes,
I'm saying,
good job.
well
Good
done.
job,
That was well spoken.
Yes.
I appreciated that from myself. But we do have those links if you would like to support us that way. Or, of course, on social media, you can find the show on Twitter at It's a Wonderful One. Find me on Twitter at The Purple Dawn with a 3 instead of the E in the because, Jeannine.
3 is the magic number.
On Instagram at The Purple Dawn. All your Batman-loving stuff is where.
You can find me at Jeannine Devine _ on Twitter, Jeannine Devine on Instagram and TikTok. If you want to get any merch for any of our shows, you can find that at our Teespring shop. The link is scrolling below, or just search It's a Wonderful Podcast on teespring.com. There's some really fun designs, logos for all of our shows, including some fun Stranger Things designs, so check it out. And if you want to purchase any of my art in print form, you can find that at my Big Cartel shop, g9design.bigcartel.com.
It should also say it comes with the Riri Williams design. If you're interested in, or does it? If you're interested in Riri Williams, Big Cartel, is that on there? Should be on there.
Yes, I have 2 Riri Williams designs on there, as well as several Batman inspired designs with lots of inspiration from said animated series,
and actually several other Black Panther related designs as well.
Yes,
so we're all in it with the artwork this week. It must be said, Jeannine. I think there's only one impression that we'll have to be doing to close out this week's episode.
You're not gonna do this to me.
No, I'm not going to do this to you because it would be disrespectful.
Yes, it would be very disrespectful.
You can do it. I don't know. You do whatever you want. Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Bye.